Feature stuff.
G'day, it's Nathan here again. Welcome back to Things and Stuff. Today we're going to recreate this 2D NFT into a 3D NFT. If you don't know what an NFT is, well, you're probably asking the wrong bloke.
I know what it is. It stands for nude frontal trading.
No, it doesn't, Charles.
Oh, so who'd I sell my nudes to then?
So for this fellow, we're going to use Super Sculpey. So the first thing I did was grab some aluminium foil and squished it up into a ball, roughly the size of the shape of the ghost I was trying to make. Nice little ghost-shaped foil there. Then we got some Super Sculpey and proceeded to cut out some little blocks there so I could run it through my pasta machine and get it nice and soft. Well, actually I just squished it with my hands. It was softer than normal Super Sculpey, this stuff. Then using the magic of editing, I flattened out the bowl. And then we could then grab that flat bit of clay and proceed to wrap our foil so we can make our little white ghost. Then I squished it all down and got it all nice and smooth and roughly to the shape I wanted our little ghost. Then I decided to roll out some little nubs so we could make some little legs for him. Are there legs? I don't know. No, maybe the ghost is like a little sheet, so it's like little sheet bits that hang off. We'll call them 4 like little legs. Anyway, once that was complete, I baked it in the oven and got it nice and firm, and then sanded it down and got it nice and smooth. Once it was all smooth, I then got the Dremel out and started to carve out some eyes and some mouth parts, just, to get all the details done. It's pretty easy. You just get the Dremel and you go, and you just keep doing that until you get all the bits you want out. You can even do that if you want. Yeah, it's 3 in the morning, neighbours are gonna love me. Anyway, you get your eyes and mouth done and sand it down again and get it nice and smooth, and then I decided I had to make a coffee cup. If you want to know how ghosts stay up all night, they drink lots of coffee. It's hard work being a ghost, and then, you're going to stay up all night scaring people. Well, coffee is your go-to. It'll keep you up all night and able to scare the hell out of the neighbours and stuff like that. And I glued on some little hands and made sure we smoothed it all out and used some Sculpey softener and some Sculpey glue just to get it all down there nice and tight. Smoothed it all out and baked that and gave that a little sanding to get that nice and smooth as well. And I got some black Sculpey. It was time to build our hat. So I rolled out a little bowl and got it nice and flat and cut out a little peak for the cap. Once I had done that, I baked it in the oven, got it nice and firm. And then I decided it was time to work on the top of the hat. So just like a black hairdo, we squished it all down so it was like a nice black hair. And then I got the blade and proceeded to cut it roughly to the size of the hat we were going to make.
Oh, you're just pulling all that stuff away.
Yes, Charles, that's correct. Then I squished on the peak and it was looking pretty good. I then got out some white clay and rolled that into a flat piece and proceeded to cut out our little ghost and worked on some tiny little bits. It's kind of hard when your eyesight's not too good, but I managed to get it complete and baked that in the oven as well. The only problem was I had a firm little ghost and I needed to squish it down onto a hat that I had already baked. So I had to squish down some more Sculpey on top of that hat, just so I had a nice softer surface to squish this little ghost into. And there you go. squished our little ghost emblem in there, and then I proceeded to use tools and fingers and stuff just to get it nice and smooth and blend it in nice. Spending a lot of time to get it really smooth. I wanted to, okay, no, I didn't want a smooth look. I wanted to get the cloth and rough it up and give it a kind of furry texture. Right, then it was time to make the beard. I decided I didn't want to wait a few months for our ghost to grow a beard, so we're going to build one. So I rolled out a rough shape close to the size I wanted it, and you know, just moved it around a bit and put on a little bit of a moustache just to complete the beard look. Yeah, he's a good looking ghost there. And using some Sculpey glue, I decided to glue the beard down. And I decided to get some Sculpey softener and just smooth that all over the beard, just to kind of gloss it up a bit, make it look a bit smoother and really blend it into the ghost there. Once our ghost was complete, I decided to make a 2-part mould of our ghost, because I always like to make moulds of things just in case I make a mistake, and then I can easily make another copy. So there's our little copy just in case we need it. But you know, I'm not going to need that, am I? So there's our completed ghost, all painted, primed and ready to be bathed in resin. That's right, we're going to bathe this guy in resin. So I got some Megapore, which I've had sitting around for a while. Unfortunately it gone a bit too hard. I don't know, maybe it's been sitting for way too long, or I've accidentally dropped some Viagra in it or something. It's way too firm, so we're going to grab some liquid gloss. I just got that from Bunnings or Spotlight or something like that. And I built this MDF board and covered it in masking tape or sticky tape. That gave me a shiny gloss on the inside so that the resin wouldn't stick. And I also carefully wrapped heaps around the outside to make sure we didn't get a leak. And there we go, just test fitting if our ghost would fit in our little box, which he does. So then it was time to mix up the resin. But before we do that, I'm going to get this bucket of hot water. It's always good to put some resin in the hot water first, just to make it flow a bit better. If you increase the temperature slightly and make it a bit more runny, it's going to allow the air bubbles to rise to the surface more, so you get less trouble with air bubbles. We're going to change the viscosity of the resin. Then it's just a simple process of pouring out equal parts of A and B and mixing them properly.
Wow, you do a lot of mixing.
Yes, it's very important to mix it properly, Charles. And sometimes it's good to pop it into a second container and mix it again, just to make sure you've really got all the resin mixed well. Then we poured it into our little container. It's just a little bit for the starters. Then I got a blowtorch and just popped any bubbles that rose to the popped any bubbles that rose to the top of the surface, and then popped it in the pressure pot. 24 hours later, we had our first bit of resin set, and it looked alright. Didn't look too bad. I couldn't see any air bubbles, so far so good. Now I got some sandpaper to actually sand away the glossy layer on top. Usually if you have two glossy layers of resin, the two layers kind of, you can see the line between the two different layers. So a good idea is to sand that layer down and get it looking rather dull, so that when the other layer hops on top of it, you can't see that shiny layer between the two layers. And I put our little ghost carefully in our box there, exactly where I wanted him. And oh bugger! So then I moved our ghost back to where I wanted him, and this time I didn't move the box and I carefully poured on the resin. I made sure that I got the resin inside that little mouth cavity there and inside his eyes, just to make sure we didn't get any bubbles trapped there. And then very carefully with the blowtorch, carefully and very quickly try to remove any stray air bubbles there. Had to be careful because it didn't want to burn the sticky tape. Then it was back in the pressure pot again. And we closed that up and we let that sit for another 24 hours. Then a day later we've got our ghost again. He's firmly set in there, except now I've got to try and complete the process of sanding again just to get rid of that glossy layer so that the layers don't stand out. So got a small bit of sandpaper and did my best. It's pretty hard to actually get in there and get those done, so yeah, it kind of looks alright. It's a little bit rough. Once I cleaned it out with some alcohol and some paper towel, it looked alright, so it's time to pour another batch of resin.
Oh, you do lots of resin?
Yes, I do, Charles.
How come?
Because we're doing multiple pours, so it doesn't get too hot.
Oh, okay. So the resin gets hot?
Yes, it does, Charles. Anyway, this is another layer that's done, so we've sanded it up again and ready for the final pour of resin. This one goes right nearly to the top. Then I proceeded to cut away our box, cut all the tape and open up our box. Because it was made of tape, it was easy to remove. And then we had our little ghost in our square there. Now it's a little bit rough, but we took it outside onto the belt sander and gave it a good sanding and tried to square it up as much as I could. Now it looks pretty rough again, it's hard to see it, so we're going to have to grab the wet and dry paper, sandpaper. So I've got multiple grits. I think I started with 240 here. What you do is you just squirt down some water on the sandpaper there and you proceed to slowly sand each corner and side of the square until it's as smooth as you can get it. Now it's still a little bit foggy. Well, it's really foggy, so this is why you have to use the 400 grit. I've gone from 240 now to 400. You basically do the same thing again. Put it on the table and sand away. If only in real life you could go that quick. That would make the job a lot easier. Anyway, then we just work our way up through all the grits of sandpaper, the 800, the 1200, the 1500, the 2000, and of course the 3000. So it takes quite a bit of time, but once you've done it, you've got a pretty shiny and clear bit of resin there. Now, to finish it off and get it really shiny, we need to pop it on our polishing wheel. Basically, you just get some polishing wax or some car polish and stuff like that, and you basically just carefully polish it. You don't want to work, you've got to keep it moving. You don't want to work in one spot too much or you'll overheat the resin and you'll end up with streaks. And there it is, our final bit of ghost in resin, all nice and shiny and ready for our display. So I got some Super Sculpey and proceeded to cut out some strips of Sculpey so that I could prepare to make our base. I'm going to work our base around that little light that I've got, so I'm going to roll out some Sculpey and really get it soft and then cut out this nice perfectly rectangle thing that I can wrap around our light. Once that was pretty much perfect, I baked it in the oven and got it the right size and then decided, no, I didn't want to use Sculpey. I had a bit of wood laying around, so we're going to use this instead. We're going to build our display out of this wood. Then using the magic of editing, it was built. Nice little display for our little ghost there. Then using the same magic editing, we painted it. And then I got the light. I also placed a little bit of felt just on the top there where the ghost would sit. Glued that in and test fitted our light, which would fit perfectly. And that was pretty much our ghost in its display. So I guess now it's time for the final reveal. Well, that's it for another episode of Things and Stuff. If you want to see more resin artworks or 2D to 3D posters or whatever it is I'm going to make, stay tuned to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Figs and stuff.